Hello there, my name is Dan and the main purpose of my channel is to show people how to grow their own fruit and vegetables no matter what size garden, allotment or growing space they do indeed have, or the amount of time they have available to put into their gardening. So if you like my work, please feel free to like and share, and if you'd like to be notified of any further videos I put up, please feel free to subscribe and hit the bell. Today I'm going to be making an update video on what I've got going on here. I've got to get round pretty quick because it's starting to get dark, so let's get straight into it. This is the main bulk of the backyard orchard here. So I sometimes get asked the question, how big is my garden? So I will link a video down below that may be able to help you with that. So check that out if you're interested. So we'll start over here. Now this is a grapevine variety Lakemont Seedless. It's a grafted variety that I actually purchased. It carried a crop of about 3 or 4 bunches of grapes this year, and I was happy with that. So here we have Pear variety Onward. I was given this tree a few years ago. It struggled during the period of dry weather we had earlier in the year, and it actually defoliated. It then later on in the season refoliated, and you can see it's still carrying some leaves there, but they will drop off in time, and I'm hoping next year to get a good crop off of this tree. And this here is variety Concord, Pear variety Concord, and many of you may remember the lovely crop that this carried this year. I refer to this tree as the tree that never grows because it doesn't grow much, and you can see from my thumb to the end there, that's a bit of this year's growth, but there's only been a little bit of growth on it, which is actually perfect for where it's placed. It's a great tree for a backyard orchard. And a little bit of growth here. Quince C rootstock, and the tree does well year on year. So there we are. Now here we have grapevine variety Lakemont Seedless, and this was taken by myself by cutting from another Lakemont Seedless vine, and it's done very well here up against this fence panel and grapes fruit off of the previous year's growth. Okay, so if you see like a piece of this, you can see the colour of it here like this, as opposed to that which was the years before. So next year this should carry a crop on it. What it does, it puts off what I call spurs, and off of those spurs will then come the crop. Carried a huge crop this year, and what I will do is link a video down below so you can see that. Now this is the time of year to prune grapevines, okay, early winter, so November, December time. So I will be carrying that out. Now here we have Plum variety Jubilee. Now it's a beautiful tree, certainly made some good size, never really had any plums off of it. Now I think I had about 2 or 3, but they didn't reach maturity. So what I've got to do is prune this, and you prune plums, okay, after the fruit has set. So that will be roughly around May time. When you see the small fruitlets on, that's when you prune plum trees. You don't prune them at this time of year like you do pom fruits such as apples and pears. So generally apples and pears, they say prune them during the dormant season, okay? So I like to prune apples and pears in around January when they're in deep dormancy. But if you do that with a plum tree, you could invite silverleaf disease, which you really don't want because it can be fatal for the tree. So after the fruit has set, which is roughly around May time. Now what I've got to do with this is sort out the crossing branches. I've left it deliberately to do its thing to establish, and you can see the trunk has done very well there. Nice thick tree, and one day I'm expecting this to be an absolute powerhouse of a tree. So pruning to be carried out on that around May time. Now we move over here, and these are my rootstocks here for my upcoming grafting project. I've got a playlist on grafting, and I'll put a video down below if you're interested in that. Grafting, a great way to propagate fruit trees, okay, to keep them true to type. Now this is a tayberry. I've got to remove this because this is the growth that the plant fruited on this year, and they fruit on the previous year's growth. So what I've got to do is leave the growth that grew this year, because then next year that will then bear the fruit, but I've got to remove the growth that it fruited on this year in order to keep it nice and healthy and get a good crop next year. Now this here is apple variety Worcester Pearmain hasn't grown that much. Now, my understanding of Worcester Pearmain is sometimes the trees can lack vigour, but it doesn't matter. I'm quite happy with the tree, and the apples were absolutely delicious, and because of the warm summer they were ready earlier than usual. Had a few off of here, and also the fact that it's in a relatively dark part of the garden, so therefore I'm expecting it to grow a little bit slower. Now down here, looking in one of the raised beds here, I've got a few cabbages, so I'm going to leave those, and hopefully they will be ready in the springtime. Even if they don't heart up, I'm perfectly happy with eating the leaves. So there we go. Now, got a persimmon here, and this is Fuyu, and we'll talk a little bit later about something I'm planning on doing with this. You can see a cherry tree here. So this is variety Stella, the first variety of self-fertile cherry to be introduced to the UK from Canada, I believe. Now, the tree's done very well, carried a magnificent crop this year. I'll link the video down below so you can check that out if you wish. And it's on a minaret rootstock, so these are generally grown as columns, okay? So it's a vertical cordon basically, and they're generally pruned as such. But what I've done is allowed mine to take more of a tree formation, and seems to be liking it, so I'm probably going to let it continue in that same way. Now, down here you can see I've got gooseberries here, I've got red and green gooseberries, and I believe I've got, yes, Hinnon-Mackey green, Hinnon-Mackey red, and also Invicta. I have some red and black currants here. So red currants actually were used as a citrus substitute during World War II, when not so much citrus could get through. So quite interesting there. Of course, black currants great for drinks, makes you think of Ribena, doesn't it? And here I have some raspberries, variety Golden Queen. So I need to just have another look through and remove some of the previous year's growth, get rid of that, what it fruited on this year, and hopefully that will then allow the existing canes, the newer growth, to produce some lovely crops next year. So yes, they've done very well indeed. I made a compost bin earlier in the year out of pallets and fence panels. Now you can see what I've got in here is actually grass cuttings, okay? So I've got the majority of this from grass cutting jobs, and left it in here ready to mix it in with some other compostable matter. We'll look into that in a moment. Got some cardboard on there and getting through it nicely. So this is the nice thing about composting. You don't have to do it immediately. What you can do is get the necessary ingredients and then at a later date mix them properly in terms of carbon and nitrogen ratio, or green to brown ratio. This is one of my compost bins here. It's a plastic tumbler, sometimes referred to as Daleks, and I like to use a ratio of about 60-40 green to brown. So 60% of nitrogen to 40% of carbon. Now, with regards to plastic tumblers such as these, or whatever composting system you've got, it's good to generally turn it, okay? Maybe like every 2-3 weeks, once a month. Now, I haven't actually turned this since I started it. Now, right at the bottom here, I have got my old tomato plants from this year, and what I did was I put them in, and what you need to do is keep everything in there small as you can. You know, what you want to do is either put it through a lawnmower. What I commonly do is put my strimmer in and strim it round. You won't be able to strim this sort of thing, obviously, but turn it to let the oxygen in, and it should break down well. I also put a bucket of water on it once or twice a week, and it works well. It's probably gone down this week. I filled it right up. It was full right up in the earlier part of the week, and now it's gone down about 6, 7, 8 inches or so. So it is working, but it would probably work quicker if I turned it. But when I can budget the time, I will. In this one here, this is a bit bigger actually than the one I just showed you. I've got some hornbeam tree leaves. I hope you could see them. So I'm going to be making some leaf mould. Once again, you want to have it as small as possible, okay? So what you do is you put your strimmer in or something like that, strim it up, make sure you wear your eye protection and don't damage the actual tumbler itself. And once again, a bucket of water once or twice a week does well. So I'm going to keep adding to that and hopefully make some beautiful leaf mould. In the 6 metre by 3 metre polytunnel, things really are coming on well in here, and you could see the spinach down there is looking very healthy, as is the kale, getting some good meals off of the vegetables I've got growing in here. And this Rocket here is doing magnificent. You can see just how big the leaves are getting, and this has got a lovely peppery taste, really tasty, lovely with a little bit of that in your salad. Now you can see these geranium plants here, non-hardy geraniums, pelargoniums, depending on how you wish to refer to them. Now, I grew these from seed last year, probably around September, October time, in my other polytunnel. Had them out in the summer, and they've done well, and I brought them in here for a little bit of frost protection. And down here as well, same again with these geraniums, and you can see the oranges there are doing well, looking really nice. They've been hanging on here probably for a year or so now, so they should be ready in another 6 months or so, something like that. And the yuzu is doing well, nice little yuzus. Well, whoa, oh, there we go. I'm going to leave that on so you know Dan makes mistakes. Dan's just knocked the yuzu off. There we are. The ginger here, so I'm going to be harvesting this soon, so hopefully the root there has grown well. It's been out here in the polytunnel, and we did have a good spell of warm weather, so hopefully that will have benefited from that temperature and grown well under there. This area here is a lovely warm microclimate. You can see the fence panels there that hold the heat. So what I'm probably going to do is have this as an exotic fruit area. So you can see the fig tree there. I've got some grapevines here as well. When the light is better another day, I'll show you exactly what I've got here. I've got some Korean mint there and some vegetables growing there in the middle. So I'm thinking maybe of putting 1 or 2 persimmon trees in here because they will benefit from the microclimate. We will see. It's all under consideration at the moment. This pomegranate variety Provence, a French variety, hardy down to -10 degrees C, I'm considering putting in the area I just showed you because it will benefit from the nice warm microclimate there. So one of the issues of growing pomegranates in the UK and similar climates is the fact they generally don't flower until about August time. So of course by the time the fruit is ripening, if you get it to that stage, the colder weather is here. So they do certainly benefit from a nice microclimate. So south-facing wall or fence, or a polytunnel or greenhouse, even if you don't get 1 to fruit, they are lovely ornamental plants. So very, very nice. And if you want a hardy exotic variety Provence pomegranate, could be one for you. I'd like to have carried on a bit longer, but starting to lose the light now. So thank you very much for viewing. If you like my work, please feel free to like, share and subscribe. You can check me out on Dan_Home_Gardens on Instagram if indeed you're interested. See you in the next video. Enjoy your weekend.